Urbanization and Reform by Jamie Bizzaro, Amanda Spreen, and Tian Hao Zhao. Essential questions. How did urbanization and reform influence culture, politics, economics, and society in the Gilded Age? How did these factors lead to reform movements? Economics. Throughout the Gilded Age, the United States boasted the highest economic and industrial growth rate compared to all opposing European economies. America also surpassed the productivity rate of the iron, coal, and steel industry in Great Britain. The United States economy was very unpredictable, as it reflected a pattern known as boom and bust. This cycle began with the laws of supply and demand. The boom of this process happens when customer demand was strong and the supply was ample. The reduced prices increased the affordability of business loans and bonds, which resulted in an influx of accessible capital. However, this influx caused there to be an imbalance, as the amount of capital eventually outweighed the availability of supply. This imbalance sent consumers into a panic, causing them to sell their shares and refrain from purchasing formidable amounts of product, which were now being overproduced. This caused a stock market crash, otherwise known as the bust of this cycle. Business owners opted to add more structure to the organization of industries. They devised the merger movement as a result. These new trusts between industrialists enabled multiple moderately sized corporations to mold into a single larger one. This allowed business owners to dominate the market and become extremely wealthy. This is called a monopoly. A monopoly is a large company that produces a product made exclusively by them without any other competing firms. They possess total control over the price and distribution of their products and services. The Gilded Age economy was based off a laissez-faire capitalism and a free market economy. Laissez-faire capitalism can be described as providing the people with the privilege to establish their own businesses and industries without the presence of government intrusion. In a free market economy, the costs of manufactured goods are determined by not only the laws of supply and demand, but also by the company owners. The rapid growth of infrastructure influenced industrial, financial, and agricultural improvements. New technologies such as steam tractors, harvesters, and the Bessemer blast furnace vastly improved the industrial and agricultural world. Resumption of 1875. Because the United States currency was no longer backed by gold, the amount of paper money printed was now stipulated solely by the government and at whatever the rest of the world believed our country was worth. This influenced a decline in prices and the value of the U.S. dollar. Bland-Allison Act of 1878. In an attempt to combat the issue of the deflation, or, in other words, a decrease in monetary value, Congress overrode the veto of President Rutherford B. Hayes. President Hayes disapproved of this new restriction placed on the production of silver coins. Farmers fought against this ratified act because they supported the minting of silver coins. This act affected them in a negative way, as many farmers relied on this form of currency to increase their income. They believed that the presence of silver coins in the market would influence a rise in prices, or in other words, inflation, which yields to revenue growth. Urbanization problems. Overcrowding. There were too many people living in the same area, which became an uncomfortable living style. The growth of cities required less labor on farms and more political machines that started the economy up again, and this all ended up with the birth of the American middle class. The railroad and the subway was then built in the larger cities, which helped lead to a better transportation system. Population. Looking off the population chart, 20% of Americans lived in cities by 1860, and 40% of Americans lived in cities by 1900. The population of many cities increased suddenly to an overcrowded amount of people that the cities couldn't handle at first. Diseases and insanitation. With the demand for more homes, the government money was weak, and their homes were poorly built, which led to bad hygiene. The homes immigrant workers lived in were also crowded and did not constantly have water, bathrooms, or ventilation, which caused an easy entrance for bacteria and diseases to spread. Crime. The criminals would steal and kill for money, then leave town. Crime was mostly common in the poverty-stricken community due to the need to make money to survive or cure their addiction to alcohol. Social issues within education. Tax affected the people, and they were not happy about paying for the schools. They refused sometimes, which would downgrade the education. Elementary schools' old ways of doing things were still being followed. For example, the schools still incorporated the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. One change did occur, though, which was the Elementary Education Act, where they switched the legal age of attending school to age 10. Then, all of a sudden, a rise in college students occurred when jobs and careers started to require expertise, but only the rich and middle class could afford college.
So, during the Gilded Age, the 3 main train thoughts are prevalent in society. The society Darwinism represents the view of the industry and commerce. The social gospel is the religious revolution, swept the American Christian belief. The society activism epitomized the uprising of the people who has been forgotten by the society. So, in the social Darwinism, Dr. Spencer proposed age, and is widely believed by the elites in the society. It is really, it is corresponding to the laissez-faire and free market economy, and in this concept, they believe that assistance to the poor people will weaken their ability to make money. So they support to the free market and give the less social charity in the society. And in the social gospel, in the 20th century, the reforms call themselves the post-millennialists. In this concept, they want to practice the one chapter of the Bible. The kingdom they will be done on the earth as is in heaven. So they declare that if the Christians cannot get up the social evil, so they cannot receive the God's coming. So the social activism, in this activism, the women are unsatisfied with their excellent suffrage in the 15th Advent. As a result, an increasing number of women join in the Women's Christian Temple Union. In this time, the woman power has been strengthened as they fight for their power on the international outstretched group. Also, because of the mounting inequality of the income distribution, the labor union also emerged for protecting the benefit of the laborers. The organizations are highly specialized, but they have the similar method and the goals, using the frequently short striking as a method to attain the control over the labor market and fight off the competitive union. So, during the Gold Age, the society changed tremendously from the divergence between the social class to the diversity of the ethical groups. The modern American is forming his prototype during this period. So the inequality has been appeared because the aggrandized between the social class The immigrants, because in the golden age, a lot of unskilled job is available for the people. So not only the old immigrant from the European countries, the immigrant from the Far East, like China and India, come to United too.
Review. How did industrial innovations help stabilize a boom and bust economy? How an innovative businessman created monopolies through trusts. How governmental acts regarding the distribution of capital affected America both economically and socially. Urbanization and social policies. What the government did to establish public schools. How the land grant colleges benefited the economy.